marvelous.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Friends, on behalf of Param Vedanta, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this 10th session of Panchadashi, Chapter 1, Sattva Viveka. In our previous session, we studied verses 33 to 36 to help us reconnect with the flow of the teaching. Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna will briefly revisit these verses. Continuing with the inquiry into avidya, the very cause of samsara, today we enter into verses 37 to 40 of the first chapter. From verse 36 onwards, Swamy Vidyaranya responds to the Purva Pakshi's question raised in connection with one of the most profound declarations of Advaita Vedanta from Chandogya Upanishad, Sad eva idam agra asid. Existence alone was before creation. The Purva Pakshi questioned whether the two words Sad and Asid convey the same sense of existence. If they imply two distinct existences, then the great declaration Ekameva Advitiyam, one without a second, would stand contradicted. Swamy Vidyaranya, beginning with verse 36, systematically resolves these objections. Today, guiding us through the verses 37 to 40, we are privileged to have Dr. Sheila Jaiprakash, Srimati Purnima Prasanna, Sri Vinayakan, and Srimati Sukanya Narayan, who will be presenting their insights and explanations. Later in the session, Srimati Sukanya Narayan will also conduct the quiz segment. The entire session shall be moderated by Dr. Ravi Shankar Dattatreya. Let us now begin with the recap of verses 33 to 36. Over to Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Let us recap what is Panca Kosha Viveka that was discussed in the last session in the slokas 33 to 36. Opening slide, sir. Swamy Vidyaranya prescribes Panca Kosha Viveka perceived through Guru Shastra Upadesha to transcend samsara. The koshas are 5 in number and they seemingly envelop the Atma like a scabbard. Mayat Pratyayaha refers to modifications. The scriptures generally describe the Brahman or Atman as Guhahitam Brahma, meaning that Brahman residing in the cave. Adi Shankaracharya interprets Guhahitam as the one residing in the cave of the mind or intellect as the Sakshi of every thought. But Swamy Vidyaranya comments Guhahitam as residing deep in the cave of the 5 koshas called Panca Koshas. These koshas together is called as Guha in this Panchadashi scripture. Because of 5 layers, the innermost layer must be pitch dark. So Guru Shastra Upadesha acts as a torch light required to enter and discover the Panca Kosha Vilakshana Brahman. Swamy Vidyaranya enumerates the Panca Koshas in the Shloka 33 as seen in the next slide. They are Anandamaya Kosha, the sheath formed by the modification of the essence of Annam or food. Pranamaya Kosha, indicating 5-fold modifications of prana. Manomaya Kosha, indicating the variations in the thought process. Vijnanamaya Kosha represents modifications in the intellect, and Anandamaya Kosha reflects the immense bliss of Atman as Vishayanandaha. Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Koshas are described in the Shloka 34. In the next slide, we see Annamaya Kosha. The outermost guha or the layer is called Annamaya Kosha. It is a sheath or personality formed by the modifications of food that we consume. Being the grossest of all these koshas, it is tangible and forms the gross body. Anna rasa, the essence of food consumed, is Srushti Karanam of this gross body. It grows because of food, and therefore Annam is the Sthiti Karanam, the cause for the survival of the body. It goes back to Annam, which is the element of earth. So Annam is the Laya Karanam also. Next slide, please. Modifications of 5 pranas is called Pranamaya Kosha and is the second layer. 5 pranas and 5 karmendriyas form the Pranamaya Kosha. The Pranamaya Kosha consists of 5-fold physiological systems controlled by 5 pranas. These are Pranaha, the respiratory system, Apanaha, the excretory system, Vyanaha, the circulatory system, Udanaha, the reversing system, and Samanaha, the digestive system. These pranas generate energy and helps Karmendriya to do their activities. The Karmendriyas are also 5 in number, and they are Vak, the organ of speech, Panihi, the organ of grasping, Padaha, locomotive organ, Upasthaha, excretory organ, and Payuho, the organ of reproduction. Pranamaya Kosha corresponds to Kriya Shakti. Next slide details the Manomaya Kosha. Inner to Pranamaya Kosha is the Manomaya Kosha. The 5 sense organs and the mind are the components of this kosha. The main part of this physiological or emotional sheath is the mind. The nature of the mind is defined as Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha, referring to affirmation and negation. Or thinking for and against is the function of the mind. It is the seat of all emotions, fancies, and desires. It builds castles in the air and longs for desired objects. The mind desires for known objects only. Desire requires collecting data with the help of 5 Gnanendriyas. Thus, 5 sense organs and the mind form Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha generates desires and Pranamaya Kosha fulfills them by supplying energy or Kriya Shakti. So Manomaya Kosha corresponds to Ichha Shakti. Next slide focuses on Vijnanamaya Kosha. 5 senses along with the intellect forms the Vijnanamaya Kosha. The intellect is defined as Nishchayatmika Buddhihi, meaning the intellect is the decisive faculty. After knowing and discriminating, judging, or even weighing the pros and cons, the Buddhi decides whether we should fulfill a particular desire or not, irrespective of the correctness of the knowledge. The intellect corresponds to Gnana Shakti. Gnanendriyas are common to both Manomaya and Vijnanamaya Koshas. Any action presupposes desire. Desire presupposes knowledge. Thus, Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Gnana Shakti together fulfill desires. Mind gives doubtful knowledge, whereas the decisive knowledge is achieved by the intellect. Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya Koshas together is termed as Sukshma Shariram. Next slide, please. Anandamaya Kosha is also called Mula Avidya or Karana Shariram, the seed condition of everything, as in Sushupti or Pralayam. In deep sleep state, neither the external world nor the internal world is experienced. During this state, one experiences total ignorance because of the predominant Tamo Guna that is present, and the Ananda Simultaneously, the bliss is also experienced due to the presence of Sattva Guna. It is a state of total relief from stress, tension, and worries. Everyone loves to sleep because of the experience of this Ananda within. Our Shastras grade happiness into three levels. Priyaha, the feeling of happiness by mere seeing the object. Modaha, when that object is possessed, we are happier. And pramodaha, when the object is experienced, the happiness is the highest. The three degrees of happiness experienced are darshana sukham, the pleasure of seeing an object, grahana sukham, the pleasure of owning that, and anubhava sukham, the pleasure of enjoying the desired object. To conclude, the next slide, the five koshas are also described as three bodies. To conclude, Annamaya Kosha, the modified form of Annarasa, forms the gross body. The modifications of Prana, Manas, and Buddhi in the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Koshas respectively form the subtle body. The Anandamaya Kosha is the Karana Shariram. All these five koshas are anatmas. The knowledge of these five is called Panca Kosha Viveka. This Panca Kosha Viveka helps a seeker to discern or discriminate Panca Kosha Vilakshana Atman from Panca Koshas and enjoy immense bliss. Thank you. Harihi Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha.
Many thanks for a very nice recap, Srimati Ramaji. And now we begin this session. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Avidya is something that bothers and gives us samsara. Avidya is Rajapradana Prakriti, where the Sattva Guna is polluted by Rajoguna and Tamo Guna. We, the Jivas, are consciousness reflected in this avidya and hence end up in samsara. When consciousness is reflected in Maya, where the Sattva Guna is not polluted, there is clarity about the original consciousness appearing as Ishvara in the presence of Maya. As the mirror goes, the reflection goes, but the original face remains. As a jiva, it is essential to undergo a systematic study of Vedantic scriptures under the guidance of a teacher to gain Atma Jnana. And there are several prakriyas. Shariratraya Viveka, Panca Kosha Viveka, Avasthatraya Viveka, Omkara Viveka, Drikdrishya Viveka. Swamy Vidyaranya in these verses has taken up the Panca Kosha Viveka, or the layers of personality, to have discrimination and come out of avidya. Ignorance is due to tamoguna. Ananda is due to sattva-guna. But this jiva has got both the ignorance and the ananda or bliss part, and that is called as Malina Sattva. It is not pure sattva. As just now explained, the experience of the three levels of Ananda, Priya, Moda and Pramoda. This experiential Ananda is Anandamaya Kosha, which is a faculty of the Karana Sharira. Brahmananda, as we know, is never an experiential Ananda. The mistaken notion that I am these koshas gives us what the Shastras mention as tadatmya. All of us are striving to understand Aham Brahmasmi. Who is it in us that understands this concept of Aham Brahmasmi? Atma will not state Aham Brahmasmi because Atma is Akarta Abhokta. Anatma, being inert, can never say Aham Brahmasmi. So it is the combination of Atma and Anatma together which would strive to understand Aham Brahmasmi. There is an intellectual mixing up of Atma and Anatma. Tanmayatva is the jiva beginning to act as a mortal body. The consciousness principle with this miserable Panchakoshas creates a confusion between Chetana Atma and the Achetana Anatma. Hence, the Shastras call this problem as Tadatmya, and the solution is Vivekaha. Introducing this concept of Swami Adira Shankaracharya is the Anvaya Vyatireka. Let us look at this concept before we dwell deep into these verses. Anvaya is an invariable concomitance in presence and is a positive correlation. Vyatireka is a invariable concomitance in absence and is a negative correlation. We know by experience that where there is smoke, there is fire, like in kitchen or the forest fire and the hearth, and that is Anvaya. When there is no fire, there is no smoke, like in a lake or in an empty sky, and that is Vyatireka. And so the conclusion is fire is the cause of smoke. Adi Shankaracharya has used this Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya to explain and analyze the difference between Atman and Anatma. Anvaya. In the waking, deep dream and deep sleep state, consciousness is present. Vyatireka, when body, mind, senses are absent, the consciousness continues to be present. That is why we get up and say, I slept happily. And hence, this consciousness is the invariable principle, whereas the body mind complex is the variable adjunct. How do we apply Anvaya Vyatireka in Tattva Viveka? The first step is to observe the presence and absence. Anvaya is consciousness Atman being present in all the three states. Vyatireka is the body, mind, intellect being absent in deep sleep. Consciousness persists as memory, and so we identify the invariable sadhya. The invariable presence Anvaya belongs to Atman, while the variable presence of Vyatireka belongs to the body mind complex or the Anatman. And so the Viveka, the Tattva Viveka here is Atman is the pure consciousness, the witness, the Sakshi, which is never absent, whereas the body mind is incidental, it is dependent, and is not the self. If you look a step further into Drik Drishya Viveka, body, mind, and senses are the objects of perception seen. The Drik is the Atman, the seer. Anvaya Vyatireka reasoning here is wherever the body mind are present, awareness is present is Anvaya. But when the body mind are absent, awareness as pure existence consciousness still remains is Vyatireka. We look at another example to understand this concept better. A mango seed, the bija, from it sprouts the leaves, the branches, the flowers, and fruit, and finally all of them perish, but the seed is the cause that pervades them all. Applying Anvaya Vyatireka, in the mango tree, the leaves, fruits, there is the subtle causal essence of the seed. Vyatireka is the absence. Without the seed, the mango tree cannot ever exist. So seed is the invariable factor, the others are the variable factors. The Vedantic application or Tattva Viveka would be the seed is the Atman or consciousness, ever present substratum, the causal basis, while the trees and branches are like the body mind complex which appear, change, perish, and are dependent on the seed or the Atman. So the mango seed persists through all transformations. Consciousness persists through waking, dream, and deep sleep, while the body and mind come and go. The insight of Tattva Viveka would therefore be consciousness in all experiences is Anvaya. Consciousness is not there. There is nothing else which is available is Vyatireka. Introducing two other terms, Anuvrita and Vyavrita. Anuvrita is that which always continues, is invariable, and the factor which is always present all along. Vyatireka is that which is excluded. Vyavrita is that which is excluded, variable, the factor which is absent. Now, what's the connection with Anvaya Vyatireka? Anuvrita corresponds to Anvaya, the constant, the present. The Vyavrita corresponds to Vyatireka, which is the excluded. For the mango seed example, the mango seed's essence in the trees and the leaves is Anuvrita, the common invariable factor, whereas the particular forms, Vyavrita, which are changing. And therefore, in Tattva Viveka, consciousness is Anuvrita, always present and never absent, whereas the body mind senses is Vyavrita, which is present in some states, absent in deep sleep, and hence is a variable incidental. With this as a background and an introduction, let us delve into these verses and understand them better as our speakers of today take it forward. We further introduce a little bit of the verse 37. Anvaya Vyatireka Bhyam Panchakosha Vivekatah Swatmanam Tata Udrit Param Brahma Prapadyate. Panchakosha Viveka is now our goal, to come out of this samsara, for us not to be jivas anymore and to come out of avidya. Anvaya Vyatireka is the technic to reach this goal. The five koshas are separated by using Anvaya Vyatireka intellectually. While pounding the paddy and separating the chaff appears to be a physical method of separating the husk from the rice, Adi Shankaracharya says that Atma is like rice, the Pancha Koshas are the coverings. Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya has been used for the pure Shuddhatma Brahman rice separation by removing the coverings in the form of the koshas. That purified Jivatma is equated to Paramatma or Brahman. May I now request Srimati Purnima Prasanna to kindly explain the 38th verse of this chapter. Srimati Purnima, please.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Just as Dr. Ravi Shankar now beautifully explained the concept of Anvaya Vyatireka, verse 38 is again reinforces the concept of Anvaya Vyatireka. Here is the verse. Abhane sthula dehasya swapne yadbhanamatmanaha sonmayo vyatirekastadbhane jnanavabhasanam. Abhane stula dehasya. Awareness of the gross body is absent, swapne, in dream. Yadbhanamatmanaha. But the witnessing mind is present. Sonvayo vyatirekastadbhane jnanavabhasanam. The self is ever present, but the body is variable, for it is present in waking, but absent in dream. Next slide, sir. Verse 37 to 52 speak about moksha, liberation from samsara, of which verses 37 to 42 talk about the removal of five sheaths, Panca Kosha Viveka. Anvaya Vyatireka reasoning is applied by Vidyaranya in these verses to separate Atma from Anatma. This reasoning is used to find out whether two things are inseparably together as one, or whether they are two separate things incidentally connected. In this verse 38, the scanning process begins with the dream state. The waking state is skipped completely, as it is taken for granted that all principles, the Panchakoshas and the Atma, are present in it. The analysis therefore begins with the dream state. Next slide, sir. To explain Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya, Swamy Param uses a very down-to-earth example of a person having a bountiful hair and a good set of teeth. One may wonder whether the hair and teeth are the intrinsic part of the person or is it incidental. If it is incidental, the hair and teeth should be wig and denture respectively. Here the two entities are one, the person, and two, wig and denture. One will not know whether the wig and denture are incidental when they either see both the entities together or do not see at all. The knowledge that they are incidental and not intrinsic part of the person will come when the person is seen without the wig and denture. Next slide, sir. So the perception of presence of the person qualified by the absence of wig and denture is the Anvaya. Anvaya focuses on the presence part. The perception of the absence of denture qualified by the presence of the person is Vyatireka. Vyatireka focuses on the absence part. Similarly, through Anvaya Vyatireka, we can know that all the three Sarirams, akin to denture and wig, are only incidental to me, the consciousness. I, the Atma, is the threading consciousness and the bodies are like beads. Sutre Manigana Eva. The bodies arrive and depart. I am all the time present. Vidyaranya now takes up the Atma plus Sthula Shariram pair in verse 38 to show that they together are not one entity. Sthula Shariram is only an incidental addendum which is eliminable, separable. Next slide, sir. In Jagrat Avastha, consciousness and Sthula Shariram are inseparably together. To understand, Sthula Shariram is not an intrinsic part of Atma consciousness, Vidyaranya takes up the dream example. Coming to the shloka, Abhane sthula dehasya swapne yadbhanam sonmayoho. Swapne, during swapna avastha, atmanaha bhanam, there is the presence or experience of consciousness, sthula dehasya abhane, qualified by the absence or non-experience of sthula shariram, saha anvayaha, this is called anvaya of Atma. This should be equated to the presence of the person qualified by the absence of denture and wig. Vyatirekaha tadbhane jnanavabhasanam. Anya anavabhasanam. The absence or non-experience of sthula shariram qualified by tadbhane, the presence or experience of Atma. Here tad is Atma. This is called Vyatireka. This should be equated to the absence of denture qualified by the presence of the person. Next slide, sir. With this argument, we come to a conclusive understanding. The consciousness continues to exist even when the body does not exist. Atma is sthula shariraha vyatiriktaha. Atma is different from sthula shariram. These are two ways of arguing the same point. By both ways, we conclude that consciousness is different from the body. From this, we get a very great relief. Death of the body is not my death. Aham sthula shariram yatirikta asmi. I am different from the sthula shariram. This is Anvaya Vyatireka first stage. In essence, this verse lays the groundwork for understanding the nature of the self and its relationship with the physical body, particularly in the context of the dream state, suggesting that the body is a temporary vessel and not the core essence of the individual. The next verse deals with Anvaya Vyatireka second stage, Atma plus Sukshma Shariram, which tells Sukshma Shariram is also incidental part of Atma. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation. May I now request Sri Vinayakan to explain the 39th verse.
Hari Om. Sri Gurubhyo Nama. So Anvaya Vyatireka reasoning is continuing. 39th verse goes like this. Linga bhane sushuptau syadhyatmano bhanam abhyayaha vyatirekastu tad bhane lingasyadhyana muchyate. So to separate the sthula sharira, we analyzed Swapna experience. To separate Sukshma sharira, we would analyze Sushupti experience, for there is presence of Atma. In Sushupti, the presence of Atma being qualified by the absence of Sukshma sharira. So next slide, please. Next slide. So in deep sleep, when the next slide, sir. In deep sleep, when the subtle body is not manifest, the self, Atman, still shines. This is called Anvaya, invariable presence of the self. In waking and dream, when the subtle body is manifest, it does not shine independently. This is Vidyareka. So the method of Anvaya Vyatireka in Vedanta often uses this logical method to identify what is independent reality and what is dependent appearance. So Anvaya is agreement or presence. If something continues to exist even when others are absent, that is the independent substratum. Vyatireka, if something does not exist when the substratum is absent, then it is dependent. Here, Vidyaranya Swamiji applies this to Atman versus Sukshma Shariram, that is mind, senses, and prana, etc. The next slide, please. So we will see Sushupti state, deep sleep as proof. In Sushupti, the mind, intellect, and senses, the Sukshma Shariram are completely dormant. Yet we all report after waking, I slept well, I did not know anything. This proves consciousness or Atman was present as the witness of that blank state. Thus, Atman has Anvaya, continuous presence, even when the Linga is absent. Linga is Sukshma Shariram. Next slide, sir. So waking and dream as proof. In waking and dream, the mind and senses function and produces knowledge of objects. But the subtle body has no light of its own. It borrows illumination from consciousness. Just as the moon shines only by reflected sunlight, the mind shines only because of the self is present. Thus, the linga has Vidyareka. It cannot manifest by itself. It depends on Atman. Next slide, sir. So the example of sun and moon we can take. The sun is self-luminous. It shines by itself. The moon appears bright, but only because it borrows light from the sun. If the sun were absent, the moon could never shine. Similarly, Atman is self-shining and independent. Mind or Sukshma Shariram is dependent. It dependent, reflects consciousness. In deep sleep, even if the mind is not visible, the Atman is still shining. In waking state or dream state, the subtle body, the mind appears, but only because of the Atman. Next slide, sir. So, self-luminosity of Atman, the self is Swayam Prakasha, does not need another light to be known. Borrowed light of the mind. The mind appears conscious, but only because it is illumined by the self. Deep sleep as evidence, even without thoughts, perceptions, or memories, the self continues, proving it is not the body or mind complex. Realization comes by discriminating between the ever present Atman and the dependent changing subtle body. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Sri Vinayakan, for a very nice presentation. And this is an important verse. So we have um, another explanation of the same verse. And may I now request Dr. Sheila Jayaprakash to kindly explain the 39th verse.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The next slide. The same verse goes like this. Linga abane shushuptau syad atmanaha banam anvayaha. Vyatirekaha tu tat bane lingasya abanam uchyate. As we know from 37th verse to 42nd verse, Swamy Vidyaranya Swami by Panca Kosha Viveka is solving the problem of Tadatmya, which is the mixing up of Chetana Atma and Achetana Anatma and creating samsara, spiritual ignorance and intellectual problem. The intellectual method used here to analyze this is Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya, which was very well explained by Dr. Ravi Shankar sir. This one was proposed by Sureshwaracharya, one of the 4 disciples of Adi Shankaracharya. In the present context, the next slide, it means differentiation of self from the 5 sheets by examining the presence or absence of a principle. If the principle being there examined varies between presence, that is bhane, and absence, abhane, then it cannot be real. It cannot be self, for we know the self to be real. It is always unchanging and always present. So the word Anvaya is Anurutti, that is invariable one, continuous and it's always present. Vyatireka is Vyaruti, the variable one, which is apart or separate, varies between present and absent. The next slide. In the present verse, that is in the previous verse, that is 38th verse, it showed Stula Sharira is incidental part of Atma. In this verse, that is, it shows Sukshma Sharira is also incidental part of Atma. To separate Sukshma Sharira, Vidyaranya Swami analyzes Shushupti experience, that is deep sleep experience. In this slide, the first 2 lines explains, in deep sleep, mental activity is totally absent. Linga abhane, absence of Shukshma Sharira. However, the I, that is Atmanaha, is still present, Banam, even in deep sleep. One does not die in deep sleep. Upon awakening, the same person still exists. So in Shushupti, the presence of Atma being qualified by the absence of Sukshma Sharira is called Anvaya. The next slide. In the next 2 lines of this verse, the subtle body is eliminated. That is Lingasya Abhanam, the absence of Sukshma Sharira. Tad Bane is qualified by the presence of Atma. So the absence of Sukshma Sharira is qualified by the presence of Atma is called as Vyatireka. So the Sukshma Sharira is Vyatireka, while the Atma Sukshma Sharira is Vyavruti, while the Atma is Anuruti. So next slide. To conclude, I am different from Sukshma Sharira. That is, I, the consciousness or the Atma, is different from Sukshma Sharira. I use it, that is, Atma use, that is, Sukshma Sharira for Jagrata and Swapna Vyavahara. Swamy Vidyaranya talked about Panca Kosha Viveka, but now he talks about Sharira. He says Pancha Koshas are the same as 3 Shariras. The Stula Sharira is Anandamaya Kosha and Sukshma Sharira is same as Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. More detail about this we'll see in the next verse. Thank you. Hari Om, Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sheila. And now we come to the 40th verse of this chapter. May I now request Srimati Sukanya Narayanan to kindly explain the verse.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, sir. I'll talk about the verse 40. Vedanta uses various methods as Panca Kosha Viveka, Drugdrishya Viveka, Avastatriya Viveka to understand that Atma is distinct from all the 5 koshas and the 3 states of experience. This analysis makes the knowledge a conviction. This knowledge that I am Panca Kosha Vilakshana, Dehatraya Atita, and to claim I am the ever Avastatraya Sakshi. This knowledge is necessary to get out of the tadatmyam, that is the intellectual wrong identification with the five koshas as myself. This knowledge is imparted under the guidance of a competent guru, shastra, and upadesha. The author uses here the method of Panca Kosha Viveka through Anvaya Vyatireka for intellectually segregating the 5 layers of human personality to arrive at I am the infinite Atma. Next slide, please. Next one. Now, let's understand Anvaya Vyatireka, which is already explained by the previous speakers. Of the two entities, presence of one of them qualified by the absence of the other is Anvaya. And absence of one of them qualified by the presence of the other is Vyatireka. The purpose of this reasoning is to find out whether the two entities are inseparably together as one or whether the two things are connected incidentally. In Swamiji's words, you need to know whether it is Swabhavika Dharma or Agantika Dharma to recognize I am the consciousness, that is my real nature, ever illuminous, whereas the 5 layers of experiences in 3 states are subject to arrival and departure. Now coming to the verse. Next slide, sir. Next slide, sir. Verse goes like this. Tad vivekat viviktaha syuhu koshaha pranamanodhiyaha tehe tatra gunavastha bhedamatrat prutakrita. Tad vivekat vivikta syuhu. Next slide, sir, for the meaning. By separating the 3 koshas, sukshma sharira, prana, manodhiya, the pranamaya, manomaya and vijnanamaya koshas, tehi tatra bhedamatra prataguda. The 3 koshas are subdivided based on the gunas and conditions, gunavastha. That is, by discrimination, the consciousness is seen to be distinct from prana, mind and intellect, sheets. They differ from one another only due to differences in their gunas and states. This is the gist of the verse. Distinction between consciousness and gross body, it cannot be done in waking state because these two are intimately associated. Therefore, analysis is done in dream state and also in the deep space. Presence of Atma, qualified by absence of the subtle body, is Anvaya, and absence of subtle body, qualified by presence of Atma, is Vyatireka. Both are important for this analysis. While Anvaya focuses on presence, which is there all the time, Vyatireka focuses on absence, which comes and goes. This is explained in the next 2 stages explained next. Next slide, sir. Now, it is the dream state. Sthula Sharira Abhava Swapne. Absence of Sthula Sharira in dream state is Vyatireka, qualified by presence of Atma. Swapne Atmana Bhanam, which is Anvaya. Therefore, I, the infinite Atma, continue to exist in dream state without using the Sthula Sharira. Now let's take the deep sleep state in the next slide. Here, the subtle body comprising of the organs of action, organs of knowledge, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, are all set aside. Here, I, the pramata, karta, and bhokta are resolved. Even in their absence, I, the witness consciousness, continue to exist. Presence of Atma here is Atma Bhava Anvaya. Absence of subtle body Lingasya Abhava is Vyatireka. In conclusion, I, the infinite Atma, continue to exist in all 3 states, as in Avastatraya Sakshi, in waking also, in dream without using the Sthula Shariram, and in deep sleep by putting them off, just as Sutre Maniganaiva. Next slide, sir. Incidentally, in this verse, the author also indicates these 5 koshas are equated with the 3 states of the human body. To conclude, I am distinct from the 5 koshas and the 3 shariras, and I continue as the witness Sakshi. So this stage is explained. Next slide, sir. Now it is clarified Panca Koshas are the same as Sharira Trayam. In support of this understanding, details are given in this verse. The three koshas, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, fall under Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. These three koshas are further subdivided based on their gunas and conditions. Sthula Sharira, for example, is Anandamaya Kosha. Sukshma Sharira, Pranamaya is Rajoguna Pradhana and its function is physiological. Manomaya and Vijnanamaya koshas are Sattva Pradhana. They are further differentiated based on their conditions or functions. That is, Manomaya is Samshaya Avastha, a state of confusion. Vijnanamaya is Nishchaya Avastha, a state of decisiveness. Next slide. Thus, by the above analysis, it is now established that the two Shariras, Sthula and Sukshma, and the four Koshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya, are all incidental. I, the ever-effulgent Atma, is my nature. This is a shift in disidentifying from the five koshas to claiming I am the limitless Sakshi. Analysis of the causal body and Anandamaya Kosha is done in the next verse. Hari Om, sir.
Thank you very much, Srimati Sukanya. And now we move on to the quiz.
Yeah, let's revise these verses that we discussed today by way of a quiz. Next one, sir. The aim of Vedanta is Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. This Aikyam can happen only when the Jivatma is pure so as to be equated with Paramatma. According to the verse, by distinguishing the invariable and the variable, the self is differentiated from the five sheets. Anvaya Vyatireka Abhyam Panca Kosha Vivekataha Tat Udhritya Param Brahma Prapadyate. Here, refining is compared to pounding of rice. This is also mentioned in Atma Bodha. Now, identify the technical word used here for refining.
Question, madam? Can you see the
Yeah,
book?
identify the word here which is used for refining.
Okay. Is it Udhrutya? Swatma Udhrutya. Yeah.
Yes, you are right. Udhrutya means segregating. Pounding means separate the husk from the rice, grain. Likewise, Panca Kosha Viveka helps discriminating Anatma from Atma. Next question, sir. Next question. Various instruments are employed to segregate the two entities Atma and Anatma. What is the appropriate instrument used here to segregate? Is it Adhyaropa Pavada, Asti Bhati or Nasti na Bhati, or Neti Neti, or Anvaya Vyatireka? Pick up one of them.
Yeah, it is Anvaya Vyatireka.
Yes, you are right. Next one, sir. Anvaya Vyatireka method is employed to establish the invariable relationship between two things. Now, next question. Under what circumstances is the Anvaya Vyatireka reasoning applied? Is it when both the entities are present and experienced? Is it when both are absent? Or when only one of them is present? Or when only the other is absent? Is it both 1 and 2 above? Or both 3 and 4 above?
It is Anvaya, that is the presence. Okay, Vyatireka is absence. It is 2 and 3. When only one of them is present, the 4, that is the other one is absent.
Yes,
that
it
is
is
3 and 4. Yeah.
Correct, you are right. When one of them is present and absence of the other. So the answer is both 3 and 4. Next question, sir. Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya also means Anuvritti Vyavritti. Here, identify what is Anuvritti and what is Vyavritti. When two things are inseparably together, that means it is intrinsic. It's called?
Anuvritti. Yes.
Yes, correct.
Anuvritti.
And when two entities appear to be together, or it is incidental, it is?
Vyavritti.
Okay, you are right. Next question, sir. Then the next verse 38 explains, Abhane stula dehasya swapne yad bhanamatmanaha so anvayo vyatireka bhane anya avabhasanam. Here, as a first step, the stula sharira and atma are taken for analysis. Stula dehasya abhane, that is, absence of gross body, qualified by the experience presence of atma is dash.
Anvayaha.
Anvaya. No, absence. Absence.
Absence is Vyatireka.
Absence is Vyatireka. You are right.
Stula bhana.
Swapne atmana bhanam. There is presence of atma qualified by absence of stula sharira. This is
Anvaya.
Anvaya. Correct. First is Vyatireka, next is Anvaya here in this verse.
Yeah. Absence is Vyatireka.
Yeah. Then the next one, next question, sir. Applying the same logic as in this verse 38, when the stula shariram perishes, gross body perishes on death, the infinite consciousness continues to exist. This is established in scriptures also. What is the relative verse quoted in Bhagavad Gita to explain this? Please quote the verse.
Yeah. Okay. Is it Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya?
Yes, yes. Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Navani Krishnati Naroparani Tata Sharirani Vihaya Jirna Anyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. You are right. Next question, sir. Linga bhane sushuptau syad atmano bhanam manveyaha vyatirekastu tad bhane lingasya bhanam uchyate. Here, as a second step, the deep sleep state is analyzed with a pair of linga sharira and atma. Segregate the anvaya and vyatireka as indicated in this verse.
Linga bhane sushuptau syat atmano bhanam is Vyatirekaha.
Okay.
Absence of linga. Then atmano bhane lingasya abhanam is Anvayaha.
Yeah, right. Next lesson. Then in this verse, Tad Vivekat Viviktasyuhu Kosha Pranamanodhiyaha Tehi Tatra Gunavastha Bhedamatrat Prutakrudha. It's indicated in this verse by the author that the Panca Koshas are the same as Sharira Traya. Koshas are equated with Shariras. Indicate the basis for such division. Annamaya is Sthula Sharira, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya belong to Sukshma Sharira, Anandamaya is Karana Sharira. What is the basis for such division, this subdivision?
Gunas, Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunas.
Yes, yes. All three of them.
Yeah.
Pranamaya is Rajoguna Pradhana, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya are Sattva Guna Pradhaya. All three of them are classified as Sukshma Sharira. Next slide, sir. Which of the following best reflects the teaching of the verse 40 regarding relationship between the witness Sakshi and the three shifts of the body? Tad viveka diktasyuhu kosha pranamanodhiyaha tehe tatra gunavastha bhedamatrat pratagvidha. So these are the options. Choose the appropriate one. The witness embedded within the sheets and changes along with them. Or the witness is distinct from all three sheets and remains unaffected even by their modifications. Next, the three sheets and the five koshas are same, difference being in the gunas and functions. Then next, the witness is identical to the real body and perceives through its senses. Finally, the witness ceases to exist when the causal body is inactive. Choose the appropriate one.
Yeah,
In
it is the second and third. The witness is distinct from all the three sheets and remains unaffected by their modifications. And then the third one, the three sheets and the five koshas are same,
you're right.
differing in their gunas and functions.
Yeah, you are right. The third one is the technical meaning of the word, but in reality, what it conveys is the witness, consciousness I, is seen to be distinct from the three sheets of the body, prana, mind, and intellect. Conscious remaining the same, the sheets appear distinct.
Distinct, yeah.
Next one, sir. Now, the three koshas, pranamaya, manomaya, and vijnanamaya, are grouped as sukshma shariram based on gunas, as we said earlier. Manomaya and vijnanamaya are again subdivided based on their functions, indicate their functions. Pranamaya, rajoguna pradhana, what is its function? Manomaya is Sattva Guna pradhan, what is its function? Vijnanamaya is Sattva Guna pradhana, what is the function?
Yeah, pranamaya, it supplies energy and that is kriya shakti. Manomaya is ichha shakti. Vijnanamaya is gnana shakti. Manomaya, ichha shakti, that is doubtful knowledge. Vijnanamaya is decisive knowledge.
Yes, you are right. Manomaya is the mind. Its function is doubting, confusion. Vijnanamaya is the intellect. Its function is determination, nischayatmaka. And finally, final question, sir. Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha are both Sattva Pradhana, as said earlier. They are further differentiated based on their functions. Now, choose from the list of functions given and segregate the conditions between the two. Emotional, nischayatmika, love, hatred, doubt, fear, determination, sorrow, wisdom, and samshayatmaka.
Yeah. Manomaya is manas, so it is emotional, is manomaya. Vijnanamaya is nischayatmika, decisive knowledge. Love, hatred, again it belongs to emotions, that is manomaya. Doubt and fear, manomaya. Determination is vijnanamaya. Sorrow is manomaya. Wisdom is vijnanamaya. And samshayatmika is again manomaya kosha.
Correct. Emotions, love, hatred, doubt, fear, sorrow, and samshayatmaka, buddhi, are the conditions of the mind. Nischayatmaka, determination, and wisdom are the conditions of the intellect. That's the answer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yo namaha. Thank you, Ramaji.
Dhanyawada to all our esteemed speakers and to Dr. Ravi Shankar sir, whose luminous words have helped unfold the subtle truths with clarity and grace. A special mention to the engaging quiz from Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna from Srimati Sukanya Narayan and answered by Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna, which reinforced the key learnings of today's verses. Dear seekers of truth, let us gather once again in Satsanga on Monday, 13th October at 6:45 p.m. for the 14th session of our Mananam series. In the two sessions, session 13 and 14 of the Mananam series, Dr. Timmappa Hegde sir explains the mantras of resonance from the first adhyaya of Kathopanishad. These resonant mantras are not only rich in meaning, but also carry a unique vibrational power. Their sound, rhythm, and truth uplift the seeker, transforming one from within. Such mantras are not merely to be studied, but to be chanted, meditated upon, and deeply absorbed, tuning us to the perfect inner frequency where life flows in harmony with the divine. These sessions are truly not to be missed. We warmly invite you to remember and join us for this next step in our journey of Mananam. Friends, now let us chant the Shanti Mantra and conclude today's session. Next slide, sir. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.